Hey to all those seeking vibrant health, it's Dr. Rachel Northern, and this is one of my monthly talks. And this year I've decided to go through my book, Journey to Vibrant Health, which is on Amazon. We'll mention that on the last slide if you want to know how it's spelled. So yeah, you can get it on Amazon, but today we're going through chapter 3, and this month is cardiovascular month, usually our heart health month, and this goes well with oxygen. And I did do one of my daily, or my weekly talks, I should say, on that topic earlier this week. So go back on my YouTube channel if you want to listen to those little 3 to 5 minute talks I do weekly. And so oxygen, and you are what you breathe, or just breathe. So it's going to be a short little talk about oxygen. So oxygen is part of, in the book, I talk about taking ownership of your health. So O starts with, is referring to oxygen. So let's go to that. So the topics we're going to discuss today are, why breathing is important. Obviously, we need to breathe to live, but more importantly, why paying attention to your breathing is important. And so we're going to talk about that, what you should avoid and what you should add to help your breathing. So I love this picture. This is a picture a long time ago I got, and it just makes me think. Take a deep breath in and just feel like fresh air. And right now we have snow going on outside here. So this is a good picture to look at and just make me think, one day I'll be outside and breathing all this great air. So we are, so we breathe. Like I said before, we automatically breathe. It's part of our autonomic nervous system. But a lot of us are under a lot of stress, and when we are under stress, we tend to breathe shallowly, which means we breathe with our upper chest. These muscles with our shoulders, our trap muscles, we have these muscles on top of, under our collarbone and wraps around our neck, called our scalene muscles. These are constantly tight on patients. And when I go to tell them to take a deep breath on the table, I see their shoulders moving. And it shouldn't be their shoulders moving. It should be down here and their diaphragm moving. And so I'm like clicking these to try to, like tapping them to back them off and getting them to stretch out. And that causes a lot of tension, which can relate to headaches, neck pain, but also you're not really oxygenating. So one thing is, deep breathing, making sure we're taking the deep breaths with the diaphragm. It stimulates what we call our parasympathetic nervous system. So a part of that autonomic nervous system is divided in two parts, our sympathetic and our parasympathetic. Our sympathetic is our fight or flight. That is what we need to do to get oxygen to our body. Automatically gets a threat or stress. We automatically shunt the blood to our outer extremities to either fight or run for our instinctual patterning, and away from our internal organs. So that's our internal organs don't get as much attention. Wonder why we have problems with the breathing and digestion and all these other things, because our society is stuck in this sympathetic overload, this fight or flight. So the other side is our parasympathetic, which is the opposite. It's our rest and digest and all the good stuff that goes on that we need for everyday survival, day-to-day function, survival, reproduction. So the parasympathetic, also, how to activate that is take the deep breath is, it slows our heart rate automatically. That's that parasympathetic side. It makes our vasodilation of our blood vessels, so it lowers our blood pressure naturally. So just taking deep breaths and stimulating that side of the breath just automatically causes relaxation through all, not just our muscles that I'm talking about, skeletal muscular, but internally too. So it's why breathing is really important. So try to make sure that you're paying attention throughout the day. If you're shallow breathing, or if you don't barely move your stomach muscles or your diaphragm when you breathe. So we're going to take a break right now and tune into our bodies. And I like always doing these kind of things where right during our talk, let's actually do something. So right now I want you to take a break and put one hand on your belly, like right at your midsection where your diaphragm should be, and the other hand on your chest. And I want you to take a deep breath in and then slowly let it out. And another deep breath in and slowly let it out. So even with myself, the first breath I took, I noticed my diaphragm moved and my chest moved. So they both moved together because I was a little, stressed. I'm talking. The second breath, I was more conscious and I focused on making sure I was moving that diaphragm more than my upper body. Now, what I talk about today, one breathing technique I'm talking about today is this 2-1-2 breathing. And there's a bunch of other different breathing techniques. If you've been getting my posts that we do through the month on this topic, talk about box breathing. There's all these other types of breathing, so other ways to visualize this. But I like this nice and simple one, which is talking about 2-1, which is meaning 2 seconds, you breathe in, 1 second you hold, 2 seconds you breathe out, and then you double those numbers. So then you do 4 seconds in, hold for 2, and then you blow out for 4. And then we can go a little bit higher where we go, breathe in for 6, hold for 3, and breathe out for 6. So let's take a couple of seconds to do that right now. So I'm going to say, let's do the 2-1 first. So breathe in, 1, 2, hold for a second, breathe out, 2. Good, I did a little longer than that. So now let's do the 4. Breathe in 4, hold 2, and then breathe out 4. So a lot of people, when they're doing this type of exercise, they find one way is easier than the other. So it's like easier to breathe in slow, but they breathe out really fast. Or they breathe in really fast and they breathe out they can control the out breathing. So you want to try to pay attention to that and see where you can be better on that. And we're going to do the 6 breathe in, hold for 3 seconds, and breathe out for 6. So let's start now. Hold for 3 and breathe out 6. Good. All right, now I'm totally chillax. So hopefully you're actually doing these exercises with me, because you'll actually get the experience of what I'm talking about. And let's move on. We're going to do it again a little bit later in the talk. So other things that you can do that just supports the lungs, and as we're going into the springtime, people who have allergies and asthma, we're going to talk about some things that help with that as well. It's supporting the lungs, so we can eat foods that are detoxifying to the lungs. Orange and red colored fruits and veggies are very good for nutrients, antioxidants for the lungs, and those are very supportive. And then garlic and onions. So I got onion soup particularly. I went to, one of my mentors talked about making onion soup, or just eating onions obviously is really beneficial for just the good nutrients to help with like the mucous membranes within the lungs, the detoxifying in the lungs. Garlic's really good for vascular system as well. So these are things that are nurturing to our organs to just help them do what they need to do. So another thing you can do is exercise those lungs. So it's really hard to shallow breathe when you are getting your cardiac rate up. You have to the body demands more oxygen as you're getting your circulation around faster. So that's a good way to exercise those lungs, get them out. I recommend at least trying to get, up to 20 to 30 minutes of where you're trying to get your heart rate up to, a good beat. It depends on your age and your weight and all those things, and you can look up those diagrams on Google or wherever you go for your search. But getting up there and making sure you're doing that at least, 3 times a week is really good. So help to exercise those lungs. Minimize your stress and your anxiousness is one thing. So what ways do you know what causes you stress in your life? One, when I talk about mental health, and we'll probably revisit that when we're in that chapter, is just making it maybe sit down once a week and do a brain sweep and what's going on in your life, what are little the drippy faucet thing, what things need to be taken care of. I do this regularly, and it helps me be aware of what's going on and help me eliminate things that I can deal with and pay attention if there are things that I can't control, and I need to learn to just let those things go if I can't control them. If there's something I can do about it, then I try to make a plan, an action plan to do something about them so they aren't as stressful. And it does relieve a lot of stress off my plate. So that's one little tip on that. I'll talk more about mental stress later on in the year when we talk about that chapter in the book. And then making sure you're getting adequate rest and sleep. So I just came back from vacation. It was awesome. I got to sleep. I take naps, just rest. But at the same time, I did go for walks on the beach and do things that were healthy. But it was just, sleep is super important for all areas of the body. Now, we know we have a sleep deficiency in our society statistically every time they do surveys on this. And also when patients come into the office and I do a history, the average person says they probably maybe get 6 hours of sleep, sometimes less. So maybe 6 to 7, usually it's around 6. And that is at least an hour inadequate. And that does accumulate over time. There's tons of studies of how decreased sleep causes increase in heart problems, blood pressure, all these other issues on health issues. So that's one thing. Try to make sure you're going to bed at a good time, getting up at a good time. And they say also the more consistent you are of going to bed the same time every night and getting up the same time in the morning is going to help your brain and overall health. So what you should avoid. So things you should avoid is chemical irritants. I talked a little bit about this book about how just underneath our kitchen cabinet now it's got more chemicals than the 1950s laboratory. We can get so much stuff just from the store, and we collect all these chemicals. A lot of people clean with these chemicals, especially after the last couple of years that we've had, and just annihilating germs and viruses. But we got to be paying attention of how those can be corrosive and irritant on our lungs, and they can be actually, whatever we breathe in actually goes into our bloodstream. So it can be irritating in that. It can affect us. Also, it's very popular right now is those, there's the sprays, but the plug-ins in the walls that mist things. And a lot of those they got chemicals in them that aren't very healthy for us. So they might smell good and they might cover up odors or different things. I recommend mostly using more of natural things, which we'll talk about. But also think about things that you're putting on your skin. Any soaps, any shampoos, any lotions. We absorb those into our skin, and they sometimes, the way our body detoxes is actually out through our lungs to get rid of chemicals. So just paying attention to what you're doing, what you have in your house, especially if you have little ones. Make sure you lock it up. But there is a lot of alternative stuff on the market now that is do very well cleaning and that can help you. So this is another thing about indoor. So this is talking about the pyramid of effects from air pollution. And I think I got this from an environmental group, and it just talks about like all these chemicals, how it affects them. So there's actually a pyramid of it can actually cause death. It can cause ER visits. It can cause absences from work and school. It can cause, irritation of asthma. It can cause respiratory and bronchi, the upper lungs problems, so inflammation. So I know personally of several people, just perfumes alone, they know they can't be around certain places or people. If they wear too much perfume, it'll trigger inflammation reaction on them, and they can get a headache, and they might start to have irregular breathing from just the chemicals in some perfumes. So this is a serious thing. This is one by the asthma people, and just talking about putting deodorants and perfume on your in your area, in your bathroom. You get exposed there in your bedrooms. You get those in your bathrooms. You have, this is just talking about pets, pet dander, but also talking about the carpeting So outgassing of the plastics and carpeting can cause problems. You can have, we have a fireplace. So, are you getting smoke from your fireplace? Do you make sure you have an air purifier? I have an air purifier here in the office that's got like ozone that we can put on every night if we want to. We also have nitrogen gas from our, if you have a gas cookers. You have all these things. Let's think about the garage or the basement. Maybe you store paint cans or any of the chemicals you use for your car things, the do-it-yourself projects, the caulks and all that. I know I'm thinking of my garage right now. I have a ton of stuff. So this is just stuff like easily that's in everybody's homes that you can be slowly inhaling these or getting these into your body. So, and the one other thing that none of that mentioned is also in the last about 10 years or so, I've had many patients come in with black mold exposure, where maybe siding wasn't done properly or there was a leak in the siding and they didn't know it. And that black mold caused a lot of problems with their lungs, with other issues in their body. It took a lot for them to detox from that. So that's another thing to maybe check, if you're concerned about that, make sure there's professionals usually in most areas that you can look into to get your house checked if you're worried about that. So, and here's some self-induced ones those are ones that we're talking about that are just like we don't even think about. And so vaping, I'm starting to see those commercials saying vaping's not good. It's not the great alternative they thought it was. Originally it came out to be something to get you off of cigarettes. Now it's become one of the more addictive things, and it's overpowering. Everybody's going on it and still doing the nicotine instead of trying to get off the nicotine. So, smoking, we all know smoking's bad for our lungs. We know it causes lung cancer. We all have all that. And then, unfortunately, people who, maybe work with chemicals, making sure that they're using proper ventilation, make sure they're wearing masks, those things that they can't help. So we're going to stop and do that breathing again. So this time we're going to do that. I'm going to try to do that 6-3-6 again. So breathe in for 6, using that diaphragm, hold for 3, and breathe out for 6. That just feels good to me. I just like it. So make sure to, I was thinking that with the posture, trying to sit up nice. The taller you sit up, with your head back, good posture, the better and easier it's going to be for your lungs to expand and the diaphragm to do its work. So trying to make sure, if you could set your phone alarm to go off at certain times of the day when you have more stressful times, then so to just kind of be breathing check and maybe do that 1 or 2 or 3 times, it would be a great thing to do. And just right there will help you get back on track. So here's some more things you can add. So these are things. Local honey has been known to help, especially more people for asthma or allergy things, but it supports your body, kind of give you a little inoculation of all the local pollens. So it gives you a little dose to help your body adapt more efficiently, so help you breathe a little better. Making sure that we change your bedding and your pillowcases frequently. This says once a week, at least trying to do it twice a month, I would recommend. So just because we have all this, skin that flakes off of us, all chemicals, all that stuff, after we shower, if you do use lotions, even the natural, like coconut oil or anything like that, you're still getting those kind of on your bedding, and we want to make sure to kind of clear things out. And then using the therapeutic grade essential oil. So instead of using those over-the-counter plug-ins, you can buy infusers and use natural, earth-made oils that just help you get all these balances. And then they have all these secondary effects. So if you like, freshening up, or you like the different smells, then go ahead and do that. Go ahead and get those oils and use those for those things, but try to not get the ones that are just loaded with chemicals. And same with candles too. Candles, a lot of people don't realize, do have chemicals in them. Sometimes even the wicks are got like heavy metals and such in them. So trying to make sure you get like a more healthy, natural, like soy-based or whatever that doesn't, look at the ingredients even in candles, because you're burning that in the air and then you're breathing that in. So in the office here, we have a couple of supplements for people who do struggle with certain, allergies and other things. So vitamin D is one I do recommend for just overall body support. We know we have a deficiency in our society of vitamin D, especially here in the Midwest. So I do recommend that. I recommend about 1,000 a day. Now I've kind of changed the slide since last year. So I would say 2,000 a day at this point, because we now know more and more that we are very deficient in that. We do have some supplements called Allerplex, and then we have D-Hist is another one we use. D-Hist is really good for nutrients that support the lungs and the histamine reaction to not overreact and not cause that inflammation. And I don't have asthma myself, but I take this on a regular basis just to keep my lungs healthy, and especially when I know we're stuck indoors during the winter right now and I can't air out all the house. So that is one good. And B complexes that support our adrenal glands. Since I said we're all stuck over here in the sympathetic side, if we support our adrenals, that produce of adrenaline, since we're running on that, so we can support that body to help us bring us back into that more relaxed state and more peaceful state. That is a good thing to do as well. So, and last but not least, obviously, as a chiropractor, I just getting adjusted. Like I said in the beginning, I can do some trigger point work on just the muscles that everybody is getting tight from shallow breathing, but also there's the nerves that come out of our upper back here, that they go to our lungs, they go to our bronchi, those tubes that go out, that help support that vasoconstriction dilation. And if you have a subluxation, or a misalignment that interferes with the nervous system and that upper back, you could have some issues with asthma. There has actually been research showing people under chiropractic had less asthma episodes. I myself have had a patient who used to go to the hospital a couple times a winter, and after starting treatment, he was less and less and less asthma attacks, more breathe better. I saw that firsthand with one particular patient that had pretty severe. So it is pretty impressive of what amazing the body can do, and especially if we get everything operating as best possible, optimal functioning. That's what we are here to do for people. Acupuncture, I've heard, also can help with this. So if you want to try that, I've had a patient that said acupuncture has totally cured her asthma. I can't say yes or no on that, but she swears by it. But so another way to balance out the body and help make sure you're stimulating the body in a good way to support, that balance is always good. And cupping is another thing of just stimulating circulation, trying to relax these muscles that you've maybe overused. But at the same time, you still need to practice making sure you're using this diaphragm level. And that is my conclusion for our tonight's talk on oxygen. And, you are what you breathe. And, this is going through my book, A Journey to Vibrant Health. You can get it on Amazon. We do sell it here in the office in Johnsburg. And if you want some more information on us, you can go to our website, thedoctorandYou.com, or if you're local and want an appointment, you can make a request through that website. And then here is my YouTube channel. So all my videos, which I have over 100 and something now on there, because I've been doing talks for 3 years now. So if you want to look at any of my past videos, have at it. And I wish you vibrant health.